Chase leads product at Brale. He's a 2X founder, and he believes that stablecoin will record everything.
All right, everyone. So in this demo, we're going to issue a stablecoin live on Spark, and then we'll show how we can use the Brale dashboard and API to move funds on Spark in real time. And so all this is live in production. This is all on Spark mainnet and all real funds. So we're here in the dashboard. We can see a number of stablecoins like USDB that have been issued on Brale. And so now we're just going to deploy a new stablecoin here live on Spark. So this is Brale issuance. So this enables businesses, protocols, and communities to issue their own fiat-backed stablecoins and then earn on treasury economics. And so since this is day zero, we'll give this some branding. I'll do another day $0. Just grab a logo real quick. Let's do $1,000 mint here and then on Spark. And we're just going to mint this directly to our Spark custodial wallet. So we spin up these wallets for every business account by default, so that you don't need to run your own wallet infrastructure here. So now we'll fund this. We can fund this with stablecoins on other chains or with fiat wire transfer ACH. In this case, I'm just going to fund this with USDC on Solana. We'll kick this off. Cool. So under the hood here, Brale's receiving the USDC into our reserves, and then we periodically sweep these into T-bills and money market funds. Obviously, those earn treasury revenue. And so as more businesses move on chain in the form of their own stablecoin, this helps turn these flows really from a cost center into a revenue center. So we can see now we've received these funds. So now we're kicking this off natively on Spark. And so this is 100% native, right? There's no wrapping or no locking here. And we can see it looks like this already deployed. So we can go out on the Explorer. Awesome. So we can see here, right? Like in a less than a couple of minutes, we've got day $0. We've got the initial supply here. I think the Lightspark team was super thoughtful in designing the issuance SDK. Like this was actually quite easy to build into. And they also supported these policy flags, things like freeze and stuff that was really, important, I think thoughtful for regulated issuers like Brale. And so, I really think this is amazing, right? So like Spark is the technology rail here that's making it easy to build on Bitcoin. A lot of the pieces that Kevin mentioned earlier, we're adding the regulated issuance, right? On and off ramps, reserve management, where it's now possible, right? Where you can spin these things up, in a few minutes. And so now that this is live, what I think is really cool about this is now any business with a Brale account or using the Brale API can now access these stable coins. And so to show this, I'm actually going to go into USDB. Now, obviously, Ethan was just talking about, I think the role of USDB in the ecosystem. We're super excited to support this with Flashnet and others. And so now essentially we have these 0 basis point on ramps that as we think about other applications in the ecosystem, OTCs, market makers, right? Custodians, really everyone can now tap in to USDB. I showed the USDC flow. I'll just mint again here, like as a quick business ramp, and we'll go through a wire flow just to give a sense here. So for like larger ticket sizes, right, wires still work right here for an institutional flow. So in production, right, Brale would receive the funds here. I'm obviously not going to wait for that. Like in this demo, I'll just move this through here real quick. Awesome. So we're minting. And I think what's really incredible about Spark is, this is almost real time settlement here, as we'll see in a second. And so, yeah, again, like let's go out to the Explorer. We'll just take a look at this. And so these are completing right in like less than 5 seconds. So you can start to get a sense where, with these 0 basis point ramps, we can start to be sort of a liquidity sink from other ecosystems and from fiat into USDB. Which is also our revenue, generating asset. Other thing I'll show real quick is a payout. So, obviously payments, have existed on Bitcoin for a long time in various forms. So I think what's really exciting here is with Spark and then some of the tooling, now it's becoming really possible for sort of mainstream Web2 businesses to do payments at scale. And so I'll just show a quick example, right, of a payout here. So we're holding this USDB balance, which of course would be like our revenue generating balance in our wallet. We could do a payout here, right, to any wallet. This is just like a Brale self-custody wallet, but this could be any wallet, right, on the network. And so again, this is going to kick off immediately and basically settle again immediately. This is like awesome. The other thing is, this transaction has No, I think today this is actually no fees, like not even like rounded to zero. This is like literally no fees, which is insane. If you think about the economics of these payment transactions, also, on the network with the most liquidity, the most security, the most participation in the world, like this is pretty insane. Um, So that's kind of the dashboard flow. I think it's also worth calling out. So this can be extended further with the Brale API. And so a lot of the goal of the API here is really make it easy for, fintechs, marketplaces, right? Neobanks, all these folks building on Bitcoin to be able to build on Spark without the complexity. So we've built the API around this central concept of a transfer. It's basically a unified endpoint that allows developers to convert between dollars and digital dollars. And so it works on these two key concepts, right? Value type is the currency. So this could be like USD, this would be USDB in an on-chain context. And then the transfer type, this is the payment rail, how we're actually moving value. So off-chain, this would be, right, Wire, ACH, RTP. And then on-chain, this is, Spark, Solana, et cetera. So you can start to get a sense of how developers can essentially just flip in these labels here and accomplish really any permutation of money movement or even, chain multiple of these together. So I'll just do a couple examples of this. So, let's imagine we're like a wallet, a neobank, right? And we want to make it easy for our users to move value from USDC on other chains like Solana, right, into USDB on Spark. And so we'll just specify, right, USDC as the source here, essentially, or sorry, USDC as the source and USDB as the destination. So I'll kick this off. Cool, we've got this ID. And so you can start to get a sense here, right, where we're really just defining these labels in the API. And, we don't need to know anything about the underlying details of these blockchains. We don't need to know anything about sort of the routing between these. This is something that Brale just handles all under the hood. So let's grab this ID and we can just get a sense here. We can like pull this transfer and see what's going on. So I can see that the Solana side of this transaction is already completed, right? Because this is a two-step transaction. And now we're just waiting on the Spark Mint. We can also see this, right, if we go back into the dashboard. Awesome. Yeah, and we can see this is complete now. And so again, I think this is really an opportunity to be kind of a liquidity sink, liquidity motion into the various apps on Bitcoin. And again, where USDB is also revenue generating and even more incentive, right, to move funds there. The other thing I'll show real quick, we talked a lot about like programmatic payments. I'm really excited to see these move onto Bitcoin. So we'll just do like a payout example. So as we think about, cross-border payments, right, remittances, corporate treasury, all these kind of money flows, we'll show what this now looks like on Spark. So in this case, we're gonna fund this out of our custodial wallet. So we're going from USDB and we'll just do the payout on USDB, right, to a last mile provider. We just need to designate what address we want to send this to. So I'll take a look at the addresses that we have. We've already linked an address here. Again, this is our self-custody wallet. You could think of this though as sending money right to a supplier or freelancer, or like sending, money back home to a family member. Cool. We've kicked this off, and I feel like pretty much by the time we come back to the page here, like this is already completed. I mean, just think this is basically instant settlement with no fees. And I think as we get more liquidity on the network and kind of activate all the participants, I think this is you can start to see, I think, how special the payment flows are going to be here. Awesome. So we issued a new stable. We kind of showed the 0 basis point on ramps and how we can use, payouts on Spark basically in real time. As we look forward, obviously there's a lot more to build on Spark. Mostly what it was shown here is kind of the institutional business flows. We're very excited about our IO product. We'll be excited to support things like global access for consumers. We'll have more to share on that later this year, but really excited about it. If you're interested to build on Spark, you can sign up for a free account, just submit KYB. You can create API keys. There's no minimums or anything to get started. If you'd like to speak with our team, please reach out. Thank you.